Hello everybody and welcome back to Red Eagle Politics. Make sure you guys like this video down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. So, last week, RFK Jr. officially abandoned his long-shot presidential bid to challenge Joe Biden for the Democrat nomination. He has left the Democrat Party and has instead decided to run as an independent. Now, there's been a lot of questions. Is this going to take votes away from Donald Trump, or is this going to take votes away from Joe Biden? You have people on one side that say, well, technically RFK Jr. is a Democrat and he was polling at 20% in the Democrat primary, so this is going to be something that could hurt Biden, especially among Democrats who don't like him. But then you have the other side that says this is going to hurt Trump because both of them kind of have these anti-establishment tendencies, and RFK Jr. is more popular among Republicans than he is among Democrats. And then we have some polling data that's new that I was not able to cover in my last video because it was not exactly polled to the point where it's like, we need to examine this further to really answer this question because so many people have been asking. I've seen so many different conflicting views that people have espoused on this, but I think it's time we do a little bit of a deep dive here and really answer this question. Who does RFK Jr. help or hurt? Is he helping Trump or is he hurting Trump? We will do the math here in a minute, but first I got to tell you guys about our latest sponsor over at Gold Mining Inc. because China's real estate bubble's absolutely collapsing. In 2008, when the subprime mortgage crisis nearly ended modern capitalism, housing was 8% of our GDP. It's 25% of China's. It's an epic meltdown and just the beginning. Meanwhile, here inflation's so high, the Fed's talking about raising the rates again, choking the credit out of the economy completely. Everything's expensive, and you know that. And gold is perfect for this environment, but it's near all-time highs already. So I want to present a company called Gold Mining Inc. trading on the New York Stock Exchange under the ticker GLDG. The reason is that this is a company that trades at multi-year lows, extremely cheap. Their gold resources are only worth $1 an ounce. So if you go to wealthresearchgroup.com/cheapgold, there's an entire presentation explaining how this company is effectively 80 or 90% more discounted than anything else out there. So if you're bullish on gold, I urge you to stop everything you're doing and download the carefully drafted report now. So RFK Jr. is in the race. He's running as an independent. There's so many questions besides the main question everyone's asking, who does this help or who does this hurt? Because we don't even know, is he going to get on the ballot and what is his strategy going to be? Because even though he has an image right now in a lot of people's minds, that can change rapidly. He used to have a higher favorable rating among Democrats than Republicans when he first announced his run. That shifted. Could it shift again? Absolutely. People don't really know a lot about RFK Jr. to the point where they're really able to make up their mind. And when Republicans do a little bit more of a deep dive into this guy, they would understand that he's not a conservative. He's just like a Democrat from 2004, basically. And that's not exactly something that Republicans really would like. In fact, he's very radical on certain things. He's been this environmental lawyer, and he has these policy positions that are crazy, talking about like jailing CEOs and things like that. He's talked about it in the past, and obviously he's pro-abortion. So a lot of Republicans off the bat are not going to vote for this guy. They look at his environmental policy, his economic policy regarding healthcare, and these are things he's not exactly being attacked on right now. Donald Trump, if Donald Trump actually perceives him as a threat to him, that's a serious threat, he's going to go on offense. He already likely is, regardless, going to go on offense against this guy and talk about how his policies are not conservative or Republican friendly and how he's not nearly as anti-establishment as some people do make him out to be. And that's true. And it's kind of like a Vivek effect going on, because a lot of Trump supporters, they like Trump and they like Vivek Ramaswamy too, but they're not going to vote for Vivek Ramaswamy when they can vote for Trump. You're going to see a very similar thing with RFK Jr., because even if they like him or like certain things he has to say, they're not going to vote for him. You could even make the same case. It's just like Gary Johnson back in 2016. Many Republicans, mainly the libertarian-leaning ones, had a favorable view of him, but he didn't really get that many votes, especially in a lot of these swing states. And the people that did vote for him, a lot of them 4 years later, depending on the state, voted for Joe Biden in 2020, and that's also true. And Democrats very well understand that this could be a problem. You see this article from the Rolling Stone saying Biden should probably be worried about RFK Jr., saying pundits have predicted Kennedy will take votes from both sides, but there sure were a lot of ex-Democrats in Philadelphia on Monday. And this is true. We need to talk about his voter base. What is RFK Jr.'s voter base? It's a lot of these Joe Rogan types. You know, you have these people that are kind of like these big brain centrists who typically are not fully aligned with one side or the other, don't really like Trump, don't necessarily like Biden. You may get a couple of the DeSantis people, at least for now, if they cannot stomach Trump, they might say, oh, I'm going to use RFK as a placeholder. I think a lot of them will come back home to Trump if they do tend to be those that vote Republican every election. So I think a lot of it is really just a bluff. Whereas Biden, you see this guy out there, and a lot of Democrats to this point and a lot of independents, they don't like him or Trump, and especially a lot of disaffected boomers who are not really fond of either major candidate. Those people do really resonate with the last name Kennedy to the point where they will just say, okay, I don't like either of these guys. I'll vote this way down ballot or that way down ballot, but I'm going to vote for this independent RFK Jr. at the top of the ticket. Overall, I think he does hurt Biden to a certain extent, or at least he takes a chunk of the electorate that doesn't like Biden, or they may have TDS, but they don't have TDS to the point where they'll vote for Biden, to the point where he's going to overall help Donald Trump. I think this is kind of like a mix of Gary Johnson and Jill Stein. He's like a Jill Stein with better optics, honestly. He can appeal more to moderates than somebody like Jill Stein, who appeared to like the Bernie bros and the far left in many cases. So I think he's like a mix of those two, which is a good thing because a lot of people will say on both sides that those third parties likely did help out Donald Trump to some extent in 2016. I'm not saying everybody that voted third party in 2016 would have chosen Hillary Clinton in a two-way race, but I do believe there's a lot of similarities here. You see Biden under fire for investigations. His popularity's dipped, similar to how Hillary's popularity dipped from, the early 2010s to when she ran in 2016. And Trump's approval rating or his favorables are higher than his were in 2016, especially during the Republican primary where his favorables were in like the 20s. Now it's like the low 40s. And Biden's approvals and his favorable ratings are actually lower than Hillary Clinton's were when Hillary Clinton lost in 2016. So all of this needs to be taken into account. I don't believe that RFK Jr. is going to really hurt Donald Trump a whole lot at all. And you look at the polling and it backs it up. We've seen many polling firms that have conducted this. It shows Kennedy taking away from both sides, but takes more away from Biden than Trump. This could single-handedly give Trump Arizona. It could give Trump Georgia. You're looking at states like Michigan, very close, Pennsylvania. This could be very consequential. Pennsylvania's where RFK Jr. announced his 2024 campaign, for those who do not know. So you're looking at all these polls, and I think I had the correct take here when I said he takes away from Biden more at the end of the day. I'm not saying he doesn't take votes away from Trump, but the split's probably like 60-40, 65-35, and then the other third-party candidates like Cornel West and others are going to take even more away from Biden percentage-wise, even if they get a smaller percentage of the vote, because his core base is these moderate liberal types. You have your Joe Rogans, your Aaron Rodgerses, your, just a few notable examples. Maybe they didn't like the COVID stuff towards the end of it. They don't really like Biden, but they also don't really tend to like Trump either. They're kind of just like these moderate, disaffected liberals. They voted for Biden in 2020, but they don't really like Biden anymore. They also don't like Trump. Maybe Elon Musk could be another example of somebody who would fit that bill. And the voter base that will vote for RFK Jr. would likely break for Biden the way that Perot's would have broken for Bush in 92. I don't think he's going to get nearly as much of the vote share. Third-party polls typically, or they're inflated numbers early on. If he's at 8% now, he's probably going to be, 2 to 3% by election day. There's really no real path to victory for RFK Jr. in a presidential election. But when you look at the big picture, this is not a bad thing. I think we should welcome it. I also think we need to be on the offense and rightfully attack RFK Jr. on policy where it matters, just to make sure that the voter base at large does not really entertain him so much. Because even if you like certain things he has to say, for example, I like his take on the COVID stuff compared to every other Democrat. I think his take on foreign policy is relatively refreshing to hear from somebody that you would consider to be on the left. But you look at all of his policies, altogether, they're not exactly all that great. And just because you might like something about somebody doesn't mean that you need to throw your vote away when the real objective here is to take the White House back from Joe Biden. Trump's going to be that Republican nominee. So everybody needs to be all hands on deck for Donald Trump, not entertaining these other options that have zero chance. And if you would vote for Trump and you vote third party, you are essentially voting for Biden by proxy, and that's really just the way it is. RFK Jr. is there on the ballot to make people feel better about their vote if they don't like either candidate, which in my opinion, I do believe that it does help Donald Trump to some extent. And that's my take on this. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to let me know in the comment section. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Like this video down below, comment down below, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media. The links are all in the description down below. I'll see you guys in the next one. Red Eagle, out.